welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
You know, probably the first time ever in my life, I feel kind of bad for Donald Trump this week. I mean, who among us hasn't been convicted of running a fraudulent enterprise and been fined to the tune of, $350 million?
It happens. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
Look, if I were to have any level of empathy, it would not be in this moment. I love it. I want more of it. I'm actually saddened that it's only $350 million, which, by the way, it could be as high as like almost $500 million with.
Well, that's the thing is that yeah, like I said, they tacked on interest as well, which is very funny to me.
Yeah, look, spoiler alert for people who've never listened to the show. Brad is not actually sad. He is elated. Don't let if you're watching on YouTube, don't let the Rachel Maddow glasses fool you. He is not a serious person.
If anything, I was a little disappointed that they only banned him for 3 years from running a business in New York. His son's for 2 years.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I was hoping that was going to be like 10 years. Because that's the rest of his life. Like, this is a wrap for him, right? Don't make it 3.
I mean, to be fair, 3 years could also be the rest of his life if we're lucky. So
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Look, it's
I like how it's not just us, by the way, that talk about like the impending death. Like Pod Save America Tim Miller refers all the time to like the hamburger from heaven. Which is
that's fucking hilarious. Like, he's just one day, man. It's just one day. Yeah. He's gonna be like, "This hamburger was good," and then next time, like, maybe not so good. Like, maybe that well done steak smothered in ketchup will just be one too many. Like, and then that's just that's it. It's a wrap. So first up, the big story this week: Judge Engoron hits Trump with the big fine of roughly $350 million, barring him from running a business or being in sort of the top echelon of any business in New York for 3 years, and his sons for 2 years, and his sons also owe $4 million a piece, right? And by the way, that's just the elder sons, just Don Jr. and Eric, not Barron. Barron did nothing wrong yet. That's right. No, Barron is, by the way, Barron is overdue, right? Like, Barron's overdue. Like, every family's got the rebel kid. Like, he's going to be the lip. Like, that's how it's going to work. He's going to be the lip.
You've said it many times before. I like how Donald Trump described what the fine was for. He said a fine of $350 million for doing a perfect job. That was his quote.
Of course. That's why they found fraud. Perfect job. Now, keep in mind, the $350 million is like that's a whopper, man, right? Like, that's some serious fucking money. And it's nothing to sneeze at. Again, I would have loved for it to be more, but it's fine. Okay, I'll take it. That's not the worst part, though. That's actually not the worst part of this. The worst part is what we haven't mentioned, which is the judge put in a monitor, a court-appointed monitor that will be watching the internal financial machinations of the Trump organization for like the next 3 years or something like that. And will be the court's, as they put it, the court's eyes and ears if they do any shady shit. So for the next 3 years, they have no ability to shift money around and do shady financial dealings that are not above board. That is disastrous for them because that's their whole fucking business, right? Now, granted, Trump organization has tons of subsidiaries and everything else, but this keeps an eye on all of those things. Like that. That's
by the way, deal. I want to read a quote from Donald Trump Jr., which is very funny in its irony. And he said, quote, "We've reached the point where your political beliefs, combined with what venue your case is heard, are the primary determinants of the outcome, not the facts of the case." Don Jr., welcome to the resistance.
Yeah, like
it's been our problem with the Supreme with fucking appellate courts around the country or like circuit courts around the country for the last 8 years.
Yeah, actually, even before that, because that's why corporations are like, let me try to go find a judge in like bumblefuck Texas that agrees with me, and so let me run my case there. Yeah, no, like, look, he's actually correct about that. Not in the way that he thinks, not in the way that he realizes. But here's the thing. This isn't in a weird jurisdiction, dude. You did this fraud in New York City. It wasn't tried in California. It wasn't tried in, a court in, Wisconsin. It was tried in the city that you did the crimes in, the cities that you participated in fraud. I'm not sure what the fuck you're talking about, but I agree with you on the general point. It just has nothing to do with what's going on here. Maybe take your face out of the Scarface-like pile of cocaine that you normally have it in, and pay attention to what's going on. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, $354 million in damages is pretty devastating. But again, having that court-appointed monitor, I think is going to be more devastating to them. By the way, I'm not just saying that as that's generally bad, but I'm saying that also in reference to politics. Because those guys do a lot of shifting of personal money around into the campaigns. Oh, well, I lent my campaign $50 million. No, you're not going to be able to do any of that shit without having the court all over your ass about it. So it also hinders him when it comes to actually during the campaign. Because any sort of slick shit you're going to try to do, pay people off, or they're going to be all over you. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Not only for this court case for the state of New York to keep their shit together, but it's also good for politics to keep his filthy money outside of the sort of the political landscape. So, of all the things, I was like, okay, damn, that's actually really smart. So, Trump's of course said he's going to appeal. Unsurprising.
Well, so interestingly, in order to appeal, he has to stake the money. Like all of it.
Yeah.
And like he has to have the money on hand. So I was listening to coverage of this and I heard Lawrence O'Donnell make a really interesting point. Like Trump has, I think it's reported he has like around $600 million of liquid assets right now. So in order to raise that money, he would they'd have to sell some properties or do this, that, or the other. Or he could turn maybe to his son-in-law, who happens to know a guy who just has billions of dollars just lying around, who could probably float Trump alone and just, help him stake that.
I mean,
of course, I'm referring to Mohammed bin Salman.
Yes.
The king of Saudi Arabia. And wouldn't that be interesting if he had to resort to such a thing as he's currently trying to run for president again?
I wish I could pretend that that's not an absolutely insane option, but yeah, no, absolutely. It's ridiculous, but
oh yeah.
but again, where does that money come from? How does it get into his pocket? Right? Because if you're going to get that loan and someone's going to stake you, that's got to come into, well, I guess it could come into his personal finances, and maybe that's somehow separated from the Trump organization.
But that's $500 million can't just fall into your lap without
can't just put into a fucking
as far
Bank
as
of
where,
America account.
Right.
I just got it out of the ATM, no big deal. Yeah, so that's an interesting question. Like, if that money drops, it's not illegal for them to do that, but it would be interesting for the court to be like, hey, buddy, like, why are you getting this from a foreign national? It's not illegal that you got it. It's just curious that you got it, right? And it would be interesting for them to report that up.
But also, if he were to, in theory, well, actually, so you have to apply for security clearance as you're in the run up, right? Because you start getting briefings and stuff like that as you get closer to the election, correct?
Yeah, of course.
So wouldn't that potentially throw a security clearance issue, considering that, like, if you receive $500,000 from a foreign government,
it should
all of a sudden, I think you'd have to register as a foreign agent or something along those lines. Maybe, I don't know how the process would work there, but
we're speaking out of a thing we are not sure about. Like, I just want to just point that out. I don't know that you'd have to register as a foreign agent because you're not doing any sort of like proselytizing for a foreign country. You know, you're not what's Trump's guy who got canned after like
Michael Flynn.
Yeah, Michael Flynn, right? You're not like writing an op-ed about like how Turkey's amazing.
And by the way, totally send them this guy that's living in Pennsylvania right now.
Yeah, so they can murder him. Yeah, right. Cool. Send them this fucking this religious guy. So yeah, I don't know that he would have to register as a foreign agent, but it certainly should trigger something in like as far as like a foreign from a foreign policy standpoint. Like again, you can't get $500 million into a bank account coming from the fucking Saudis without the government being like, dude, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Like, where would this money come from? It would have to raise some flags. Again, it's not necessarily illegal, but it certainly should raise some flags.
I wonder if so. And again, I'm talking out of turn, and that's fine. I wonder if the FEC could look at that as a campaign donation. And therefore it would make it illegal, because the only reason that MBS would do such a thing is to help ensure that Trump regains the presidency. Otherwise, why the fuck would you? What will be the purpose? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at that point,
yeah, and then you're a wholly owned subsidiary of the Saudi government,
right?
At that point, right? Like, where are you going to get the money to pay them back? You're going to have to liquefy some level of assets. Well, you don't. If you could just easily do that now, you'd do it. You wouldn't need them. So then that loan just hangs the fuck out there. Okay, then you're owned by them. Oh, it wasn't a loan. It was a grant. I just gave it to you. Then why would they do that?
Right.
You'd have to start asking questions. So, look, to Lawrence O'Donnell's point, could that happen? Yes. The question is, what flags would it raise if it did happen? Would they just let it go and be like, well, there's nothing we can really do? Or does that throw up a bunch of flags? And like, look, I can tell you this. If that happened, there's no fucking way on planet Earth someone inside the DOJ or whoever knows about it that doesn't get leaked. That 100% makes it into the news. Once it makes it into the news, you're in a world of trouble. You're in a world of trouble because everybody's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, one, thought you had the money. Big dog, what happened? By the way, I don't think he has the money. But, yeah, we'll see. Look, at the same time, it might not be the potentially $500 million that he owes just to New York. That's the problem. He has another $88 million that he owes to E. Jean Carroll as well. And now her lawyers are like, look, he's talking shit about my client again. I might have to, as I said to you and Andy, I might have to lube up the fucking lawsuit dildo and go back in one more time.
I guess $83 million wasn't enough of an incentive to keep your fucking mouth shut, dummy.
88. Because remember, it was $5 million off the top. $5 million off the top. Then you had to go back, right? So it's like, maybe it's not enough. Maybe $200 million is enough. I don't know. I don't know what the price.
You know what? I'll tell you. We're speaking. We're speaking in hypotheticals here, because I don't think he'll need to turn to the Saudis to get this money, Jay, because Donald Trump has become so efficient at grifting his supporters that they now just automatically start grifting themselves when he is in need.
Look, I never thought I'd say this. We have officially activated auto grift. Auto grift is the new thing. They are Pavlovian in their behaviors.
Yes.
Just ring a little bell and there's money.
All they see in the news is Trump owes, and they're just like, here, take the cash, take it all, whatever I got, it's yours.
like I said in the video the other day, like, you giving up your nickels and dimes from your job at the Pick and Save to save a billionaire? You out of your fucking mind? No, there's no way, man. I'm not giving that guy shit. Oh,
excuse me, Jay.
Trump need money?
Excuse me, Jay. Excuse me. Alleged billionaire.
Okay, that's fair. He doesn't have that money. He doesn't have that money. Like, he doesn't have that money. Look, all I'm saying is, I know Elon Musk is a billionaire. I know Bill Gates is a billionaire. I know Steve Ballmer's a billionaire. I've never seen any of them motherfuckers selling cheap shoes they bought off of Facebook and selling them to supporters. I've never seen that shit. So that's all I'm saying. Like,
and believe me, if Elon Musk could, he would.
Yes, he would. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he would just buy Nike and then put his,
and then run it into the ground.
He'd be like, if you could put my name on the masthead, like I founded this company, which I didn't. And then, let's run this very successful business. Let's bring it up and then right back into the fucking toilet. Yeah, if you don't know, Elon Musk is not one of the founders of Tesla. He just literally bought into the company and had them put his name on the masthead, which is an obnoxious thing to do. But, he's a dick. And then fired the guy who really invented it, like created it. Like, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, yeah, Trump's fans are trying to pay his enormous legal bills. I like this quote. His followers have been quick to lend a buck, leaving comments stuffed with sizzling legal criticisms like, quote, boycott New York City, and I think it's just terrible what they did to my country. Go Cowboys.
No. It says county. I think he meant to say country, but he meant county instead. That's amazing. They put up a fucking GoFundMe.
Yeah, no,
for $355 million.
Yeah, I love it.
So far, I think as of last count, they're over like 400 some odd thousand. Yeah, so it's going well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're almost there. They're almost at the.
They just ticked over 1% of the total goal. Congratulations.
Yeah. They're almost at 350th that they need. Like. It's almost there. You nailed it. I'm not sure there's anything that is more emblematic of a cult-like mentality than supporting a billionaire and then rushing to throw money at his feet to save him, to jump in front of the bullet for him. It's pretty pathetic.
I don't know how you didn't see this coming. These are the same people that are fucking throwing money at televangelists who own private jets.
You know what? You're right.
Just like, hey, I own a private jet and a massive house. I need another private jet. Please give me money. And they're just like, here, take it. Like, save my soul. Give me absolution.
Yeah. That couldn't be me, man. That couldn't be me. I look, I'm not necessarily tight with a dollar, but I am when it comes to bullshit. Like, no, I'm not buying that. Look, I'm not going to give money to generally bad ideas. And when I was a teenager, I bought one of those things on TV that you wear that gives you abs, right? I was that dumb when I was like 13, right? Or 14 years old. Micah can attest to this. He made quite a bit of fun of me, and for good reason. So I was that dumb at 14. These people are that dumb at like 45 years old. Like, they're like, no, let's just give Donald Trump, the money. Like, this makes all the sense in the world. And look, Donald Trump isn't complaining. He's not, no. Save your pennies. I will fight the deep state alone. With me alone, I will save you. No, he doesn't even have the right mentality of a true, drink the Kool-Aid type leader. Like, dude's like, oh, no, I'll take that cash. Like, hell yeah, dude. Fucking hell yeah.
I mean, he can even be like, hey, I appreciate it. I'd rather you donate the money to, my campaign or really a super PAC so that he can skim off, whatever percentage he wants to.
Donate to the RNC. I'll see none of that money.
That would be the smart thing to do. But no, he's just like, no. If they want to do this. Now, here's the question. So, I don't know how GoFundMe's work. I know that with other crowdfunding things, typically you only get the money when the goal is reached, right? So you have to get the full amount for the payout to happen. Does GoFundMe work that way as well, or do they get whatever? Does he get whatever? Does the person who's running the campaign get whatever's put into it?
That's a good question. I would assume that if you hit the whole thing, you get it. So I don't know. I'm looking up. Yeah, I think you get whatever is there.
Now how funny would it be if this turned into another situation like we had a couple of years ago, where like there was the campaign to fund building the wall, and then the dudes just fucking made off,
Okay,
including Steve Bannon made off with the money.
Okay, so this is one of the points that I was thinking about too. This isn't set up by the Trump organization. This isn't set up by Trump. This is set up by his sons or any of his kids or anybody that is like tied directly to him. This is set up by like a real estate guy who's like a big MAGA person.
Yeah.
How do you even know that the money that you're giving will ever even make it to Donald Trump? You think now, let's be honest here. Like MAGA folks, we know that you're listening. Do you really think that somebody who has in their hand $350 million and all legal right to that money is going to hand it over to Donald Trump if they got it? And they're a MAGA person? I feel like, dude, I'm not a MAGA person and I'm not giving them that money. I'm like, I'm out. Like, and I'm gone, like I'm gone. And
Like I said, $350 million could buy a nice island that you could just, retire to.
Look,
never be heard from again.
Look, $350 million is the exact amount of money you need to disappear. Like, that's it. Gone. Fucking gone. You pick up that giant, sweepstakes like check. You take the publisher clearinghouse sweepstakes check. You take that, you take it to your account, and then you're ghosted, dude. Like, gone, dude. I rent a private jet, and I'm like, take me to undisclosed location, and you never hear from me again. Social media accounts, all that shit, dead. Cell phone, I'm chucking it out the window. Like, it's gone, gone. Like, you never hear from me. $350 million. They'd be like, did that make it to Trump? Sure. It'll be there tomorrow.
Now, I mean, the good news is that hypothetical will never happen because there's no way in fucking Hades that this campaign will achieve its goal. Do you realize that judgment that Trump got levied against him? I also heard today is more than he spent in his entire initial campaign for the White House.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Oh, by the way, here's the confirmation. Yeah. You do not need to reach your goal to receive your funds on GoFundMe.
Oh, okay. So basically, this dude's gonna be able to walk away with like $750K in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Good for him. Look, hey, a fool is money, as they say.
No, I just stole it too. I 100%. 100%. If I set up, you know what? Coming next week, I'm setting up a Joe Biden GoFundMe account.
Joe Fund Me.
Yeah, a Joe Fund Me. To help him get new tires on his old IROC Z. I'm gonna need $5 million, and I guarantee you'll never look. You pay me you give me $5 million. You know what? $10 million. This podcast is over. Like, it's done. Right? I'll send you a little bit, and I'm gone. You never hear from me again. I'm out of here. Absolutely. You'll never hear from me again. But yeah, that's crazy. I don't understand the people who are giving, again, you're giving money to a person who is not even tied to Trump. That's insane. I did see a couple people give like $5 or $1 or something like that, just to go on there just so they could comment and be like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. Like, you guys are morons and all this other shit. Like, I was like, you know what? That's kind of worth it for them. Like, I'm not giving you any money, but I appreciate it. Look, it's the number one. It's the number one GoFundMe.
Of course it is.
Brad, they are at $794,000.
Oh wow, they're picking up steam.
They are picking up steam.
They're 2%.
An anonymous person gave $10,000. You are out of your fucking mind. I like that it puts their name unless you say anonymous. Lisa Copeland gave $500. You're an idiot. Kendra Danielle Tomlinson, you're a fucking idiot. You gave $30. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think the first donor they found out was a sex offender. So, you know, sex offenders stick together. That's pretty good.
Of course.
Yeah. So, look, man, these people are not bright. Just not bright. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I think it's fucking commendable that he is so, like I said, so good at grifting them that they're just like, you know what, we're just gonna do it to ourselves. We don't even need you to fucking to part us with our money anymore.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. You're not getting a dime from me, man. That's crazy. The cool thing is when you have a unique name, I can just look you up on Facebook and see the type of idiot you truly are that gave money. So, good job, John. However you pronounce your name, you're an idiot.
Good luck. Good luck sifting through all the fucking Trump memes on the Facebook page to get a sense of what this dude is like.
Yeah. So, as I put on the docket, local idiot enamored by foreign grocery store. Look, we didn't talk about it because I didn't give a shit to watch it. I don't care. I'm not going to listen to propaganda for fucking like an hour where Tucker Carlson, former Fox News guy, went and interviewed Vladimir Putin. You know, they had a great time, I'm sure. It was like, oh, I like to kill people for fun. And Tucker's like, oh, that's adorable. And then, you know, snuggled up on his balls or whatever. I don't know. I assume that's exactly how it went. But then a clip came out while Tucker he's like on a full Russian tour, right? He's like, I got to check this place out. Looks awesome. Oh, is there bombing going off just to the west of where I am? Irrelevant. Who cares? I'm sure those people.
Is Russia as bad as everybody says? I don't know. I know you probably think so, but I had to find out for myself.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Yeah. Yeah. It's as bad. Like it's a kleptocracy.
Well, no. It is, unless you take the Tucker Carlson propaganda tour through Russia.
Right. So, all right. So we have this video. Now, this video is 3 minutes and 18 seconds. And if you are new to the show, we're going to pause it and give comments as we go along because it is really, really fascinating. So this is just him going to the grocery store. There's other things like where he goes through a subway that's like quite beautiful and everything else. And it's like, yeah, there's nice parts of Moscow. Wow. You know, there's nice parts of every major city. I don't know if Tucker Carlson's ever been to a
turns out when the government has a vested interest in trying to distract you from how shitty your day-to-day life is, they're actually, instead of spending money on citizens, they're willing to spend money on things that don't actually matter, like decorating a subway platform in like very Baroque, like early, fucking 20th century decor.
Right. It's super, super important. By the way, don't go outside and say anything negative about the president or they'll beat you within an inch of your life. More on that later. Or, not within an inch. Sometimes past an inch. Like, well past. Till you're dead. Suddenly. But here is a local idiot very amused by very basic things.
I guess you put in 10 rubles here and you get it back when you put the cart back. So it's free, but there's an incentive to return it and not just bring it to your homeless encampment.
I already have to stop.
Yeah, go ahead. I know
this exists in America.
Yes. Has this motherfucker never been to Aldi's before? Yeah. This is Aldi's, Like Aldi's is
my wife literally has a quarter that she keeps in a special section of her wallet for when she goes to Aldi's to put into the shopping cart thing so that she can use the shopping cart.
Yes, ironically, this is how dumb some Americans are. Some Americans will go on Amazon and buy this thing. It's a fake coin.
That costs more than 25 cents.
It costs more than 25 cents. It's like, get a quarter. Like, that doesn't, they're like, yeah, but this is genius. I guess.
Is it? Right. Yeah. You sure about that? Okay.
Yeah. Like, all right, man. Like, look, The education system, maybe not the best here. I'm just saying, like, maybe it's not the best. But yeah, the reason he doesn't know this about Aldi's is because he's filthy, stinking rich, by the way. And that's part of his amazing ignorance throughout this entire segment. It's not the only reason, but a decent part of it is that this guy doesn't do these things. He doesn't go to the grocery. He's not going to fucking Trader Joe's on a fucking Wednesday. No, he has some other asshole go pick his groceries up for him. Let's get real.
Okay, this is the grocery cart escalator. This is designed, I'm figuring this out now, where the wheels don't move, they lock on the...
Pause. We have this at Walmart here. We have this at Walmart here.
Not only do we have this Walmart here, the cart escalator exists in literally the worst Walmart I've ever been to in my entire life.
Is it the one in Towson?
Yes, it's the one in Towson.
Yeah, it's the fucking worst one.
Yes. And they have a cart escalator.
Right. Now that one is a little bit different than this. I agree with you. But like this exact one that you ride up with your cart, they have them here. They have them here.
Also, most grocery stores are, single story, so there's not really a need for a cart escalator, but
like, okay, like again,
what are we talking about?
this guy enamored by this. Enamored. Oh, can you believe it? I can believe it. Yeah, I can. I literally used one yesterday. It's not that.
Grocery cart escalator. Look, Ma, no hands.
No, I'm outside with regular people.
Retail placement here is a little bit different. So it's like walking through Macy's to get to Whole Foods. Okay, we've gotten...
Again, this is a thing. Is where I live. Like it.
Yeah,
it's
you're in a mall.
You have to walk by other stores to get into the store that I want to go in. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah, dude. It's just a grocery store in a mall. Like I was literally at one today.
The perfume section to get to the grocery store. So we're going to try and buy what a family of four would buy every week, and we're going to see what the selection is, and we're going to see what it costs. Now, Russia is famous for its bread, which is one thing I can assess pretty well. The low-carb lifestyle has not swept Russia. Thank heaven, because look at that. It's fresh, too. Look at that. Oh, come on.
Okay, again.
Why is he orgasming over the bread, Jay?
Why is he doing like a weird... He's doing what I would do if I'm impersonating a French person. That's ridiculous. Why are you making that noise? Again, they have that here. They have that. They have that here. Every grocery store that you go to, it's not even a high-end grocery store. Every sort of medium level grocery store and above has a huge fresh bakery that they bake fresh stuff every day. This is not unique to Russia. This is in a place where I live, and I live in a place that he would call a shithole. He would call it a shithole country. They have the exact same things. Again, I don't know why this is impressive, right? By the way, grocery stores in America also have bakeries. They do.
Well, and here's kind of the point that I feel like he's trying to get at is he's like, oh, you thought that bread in a Russian grocery store would just be sitting on the shelf that'd be weeks old and have mold growing on them. No, we don't think that they're living in squalor. That's not what we fucking assume.
Yeah, they were. They were. At the collapse of the Soviet Union, they were. There were bread lines, dude. That's a real thing. He even, I cut off the beginning of the segment. He even talks about that. He's like, oh, no, that did happen. You can look it up. Yeah, that's true. I don't have to look it up you showed video of it, right? That's true. But, I don't think people think that's still happening in Russia right now. I don't even understand. It's a weird, straw man argument. No one is making that argument. But, we'll talk about, his lack of telling the full truth here as we go through. Mm-hmm. So when my mouse stops acting ridiculous, I will continue to play.
Unicorn and mini mills. All right.
Again, what is this weird J version of
Some
something?
kind of Russian wheat cookies.
Oh, I don't know if they have
Coffee.
cookies.
Don't we? Yeah. I don't know if this is sugar or flour, to be honest with you, but it looks like a staple, so we should get it. It's a very good-looking package. It's got to be flour, right?
By the way, he said that he was doing shopping that a family of 4 does every week. Yeah, I don't know about you, but we don't buy flour and or sugar in a container of it every single week. But okay, again, it's fine.
And this is Russian wine. It's from Crimea, which not only has the warm water naval base, but also is the source of most of the grapes in this part of Russia for wine.
I'm gonna need you to talk about maybe the
I'm gonna say
context
he sure did gloss over how Crimea was a part of Russia.
Yeah. And how did that happen over the last couple of years there, Tuck? You want to talk about annexing of Crimea? No?
I mean, look, he's just continuing to carry water for his boy, man.
Very weird. It's very weird.
Propaganda trip continues in earnest.
Yeah, unabated.
It's apparently pretty good.
Incidentally, Russian wines are actually pretty good.
Cheese puffs. You check out of a grocery store and you've got gum, razor blades, and candy. Actually, they hide the razor blades because we steal them.
Stop. Look, I'm gonna let a lot of shit slide. Okay, what I will not let slide is this idea that they hide razor blades because we steal them, bro. You can go into any Target or Dwayne Reed or anything else and buy razor blades. Knock it off. Knock it off. This idea, and he's doing this for his dwindling audience, but he is doing this for white Americans who live in rural America. And they're like, in the big cities, you can't even buy a razor. I know you can go down to Joe's fucking, haberdashery in your town and just pick up a Gillette if you want, but in the cities you can't. Dude, you can go to any fucking Target or Walmart and just go get them. Yeah, a lot of times in small stores, they block that shit because people steal those things. But those are in small stores. They're not in big grocery stores like that. That's not a thing. Knock it off, yo. Again, you are playing to a really shitty, very ignorant audience. More on that, I guess, later. But yeah, no. You can go buy a Gillette razor just fine in any fucking store.
But these are all seem to be Western products. Mars, Twix, Snickers, Milky Way, Bounty, Gillette.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Hold on. Hang on a second. Hold tight. Mr. fucking, look, they have the laser blades right out. It's weird that they're locked in secure boxes that have to probably be disabled by the cashier. Isn't that interesting?
So it's same as small stores in America.
Yeah.
Again,
very curious.
Yeah, you sat there, you lied, and then your dumb cameraman was like, "I'm just zoom right in."
Paul's cough drops, Mentos. It's pretty non-sanctioned to me, but what do I know? I went from.
Well, he's talking about how he's going to this grocery store because it's 2 years into the American sanctions, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're doing sanctions. That doesn't mean internationally run businesses are all not giving their shit out. They're not selling their shit in Russia. That's again, you are playing to a small audience and you're pretending like you don't understand basic things.
Used to legitimately angry. So we were guessing what this would cost. Everybody hears from the United States buys groceries, and we didn't pay any attention to costs as we were just putting in the cart what we would actually eat over a week. And we all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here. And that's when you start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought, corruption. If you take people's standard of living and you tank it through filth and crime and inflation, and they literally can't buy the groceries they want, at that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're wrecking people's lives in their country, and that's what our leaders have done to us. And coming to a Russian grocery store, the heart of evil, and seeing what things cost and how people live, it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway, radicalized. We're not making any of this up, by the way, at all.
Yeah, which is a great way to end the segment when you're totally making shit up.
One thing he omitted, and this might put some context into things. It's the average salary of a Russian adult.
And I looked this up. The average monthly salary for a Russian adult is about $787 US a month. The average American is, what was it, $4,500 a month, right? This is like, basically it works out to about $54,000 a year, right? Like that's an average, working man, working woman salary, right? And we're not talking, obviously there are people who make less, obviously there are people who make a lot more, but we're just talking about like kind of averages. It's about $54,000. Meanwhile, in Russia, the U.S. equivalent is they would make about $9,500 a year. So yeah, basic economics would say that they can't price the things at American level prices in Russia because no one would be able to afford to eat.
Or the ratio, or if you look at the ratio, they are pricing things at those prices. In fact, more like as far as like if you're to take him at his word, and like, oh, here's this card, it costs $104. That's like literally like 1/6 of like an average Russian's monthly income.
Right.
And according to him, that's a week's worth of groceries.
Right. By the way, here's the thing that look, I've watched enough Supermarket Sweep to know bullshit when I see it. You didn't buy any meat, my man. You didn't buy any meat. And meat is expensive, right? That is one of the most expensive things that you buy when you do weekly grocery shopping. So yeah, you came out at $103. You didn't buy no meat. Like, so go, unless you're a vegetarian, which I know he isn't, okay? 'Cause he's a real American, right? He definitely has steak and shit. Like, that bill is higher, right? So, but the larger point here, but besides always go for the meat first when you do Supermarket Sweep, don't be a fool. Besides that, right? This is a fundamental. Besides that, you're right. You're not going to price food at what Americans spend. Americans are spending $400. Yeah, dude, we make so much more than they do, comparatively. That's the reason. And look, Jon Stewart had a great, segment on this. I mean, he fucking eviscerated Tucker over it. But he was like, listen, you know that. Like, Tucker Carlson knows that. He knows that the average Russian doesn't make what the average American makes. He's well aware of it. But he's banking on the fact that his audience doesn't question it and that they don't know it. And he's 100% right. This is what Republicans do all the time. That's why they say shit that is like fundamentally it's wrong, but you know it's wrong because you're educated. Other people listen to that and they go, yeah, man, living in Russia sounds great. Look, go. Yeah. By all means.
Be like that Canadian family of 10 who just decided like, hey, like Canada's really oppressive. We're going to move to Russia and we don't know the language. And then they get over there and they find out, oh my God, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, it turns out we've made a terrible mistake. Right? And look, Jon Stewart's point at the end was like, yeah, we pay more because one, we make more, right? Which is obvious. But he was like, it's also the price of freedom. Like he just then rolled clips of people just getting their faces like smashed in the snow and being beaten for saying something positive about Alexei Navalny after he was killed, which we'll talk about later on. It's like, I would rather live in the environment where I can go out and say, I disagree with the president. I feel this way, XYZ about the government and everything else, and pay a little bit more for food. In this instance, you're technically not really, but pay a little bit more for food than living in a place where it feels like everything is dirt cheap, but I'm going to get my head cracked if I have any dissenting views. So look, if you, Tucker Carlson, or your audience wants to move over there, then by all means move. Trust me, the United States would be a better place if you did. So, I just thought that entire thing was just ridiculous. Like when I watched it at first, I'm like, what is the average salary in Russia? It's nowhere near what it is here. Like that was the first thing I thought. Like, and that should be your first question. If that place is so great, what are the trade-offs, right? Like I live in a place that the cost of living is far less than in the United States, right? There are trade-offs. There are 100% are trade-offs. There are things that are nicer in the U.S. There just are. And there are things that I like more here, and there are things that I like more in the U.S. But there are trade-offs. Pretending that it's a one-to-one is bullshit. It's not a one-to-one. Now, granted, I can go out in the street and say some negative shit about the Mexican president if I want to. Like, I can say that shit. Like, fuck that dude. Like, I can say whatever I want. Like, they don't have that. They don't have the same issues that Russia has. Also, political corruption here, a little bit. like a little bit. So, like, is it as bad as maybe, Russia? No. But, like, are there trade-offs? Yeah, there are absolute trade-offs. So, like, this idea that Russia is somehow this amazingly perfect country and, America is this fucking giant toilet bowl is nonsense. It's just nonsense. Like again, if you want to go,
yeah, if it's so hammer sickling awesome, you go ahead and move your ass right over there, and we will bid you adieu, comrade.
Yeah, I zero regret for you leaving, man. Like, zero regret. Sounds awesome. All right, let's do one more story before we take another break.
Yeah. So Nikki Haley, not a student of history, we've learned, because she was doing a town hall on Fox in South Carolina, and she was asked a question by one of the folks that were attending the town hall, and they said, "Hey, if Donald Trump were convicted and you were elected president, would you pardon him?" And she said, to heal the country, to unify America. We've never heard this line before. Yeah. She would pardon him. Quote, "We've got to leave the negativity and the baggage behind. I don't want this country divided any further. I don't think it's in the best interest for America to have an 80-year-old president sitting in jail and having everyone upset about it." Agree
to disagree.
Yeah, I'm about to say, if you don't want to divide the country further, I'm pretty sure pardoning the dude convicted of an innumerable amount of felonies for corruption that he did would not achieve the desired result, Nikki Haley. Pretty sure you would irrevocably piss off Democrats and some Republicans even more.
And by the way, she says he'd be in jail and everyone would be upset. I wouldn't be upset.
I'd be fucking plumb happy. You talking about upset.
Like that thing where people run and jump in the air and click their heels. Yeah, like I would feel like that would be in my heart. That's how I would feel every day. Like, no, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah, but again, like if she wants to become a lame duck president, like 6 months into office, hey, that's her prerogative. So
I mean, I got to imagine you do it even before that, right? Like you try to like. I hate to say it like this, but you try to like 9/11 that shit, where you try to use that as a guiding light, like to run your numbers all the way up. Like you do it right away. Like my first day in office, I pardoned Donald Trump. Your presidency is dead. You're on. Yeah, that shit is on fucking death watch immediately the second you do that, because everyone's like, you know what? Fuck that person.
Yeah. And fun fact: if Trump is convicted of any of the charges he's facing in Georgia, it wouldn't matter if Nikki Haley is president or not, because those are state offenses, and she has no power
I think she knows that. I think she knows that. I think she's well aware of that. Yeah, I'd pardon him. Georgia case, 100%.
Yeah, and again, like the reason she's saying that is she's trying her damnedest to peel off as many Trump voters as she can. You know what I mean? Yeah, like if she gives them a permission structure to be like, oh, if Haley's elected and something happens to her guy, like at least we know he'll be taken care of. Like that's what she's attempting to accomplish.
Yeah, of course. Look, I'm not even mad at her trying to run that bullshit. But I can tell you like this: you do it at your own peril. Like you said, you might want to read up on Gerald Ford. The people were just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Go fuck yourself, buddy. You're not going anywhere. Like this. This is a useless presidency, and we're just going to move on to the next guy. Yep. And maybe, maybe one day, you'll be lampooned on SNL and be like, I wasn't aware they'd be reading. Like, I'm just, it's just unbelievably stupid.
Yeah, we've talked before about Wisconsin, one of the most gerrymandered state maps that currently exist in the country today, where Democrats, like I believe the last Wisconsin, legislative elections that happened, I think Democrats won 67% of the vote, and yet somehow captured.
They won 14 out of the last 17 statewide elections.
Yes, and yet somehow the Wisconsin state legislature is firmly not only in Republican control, but in near supermajority Republican control. Despite winning literally 38% of the vote,
right,
on average, which is insane. So there was an election last year, a special election for a Supreme Court justice in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's one of the states that allows voters to directly elect the Supreme Court justices in their state. And liberal Justice Janet Protasewicz won that election. And this was important because this was kind of a swing vote inside of the court. The court was divided otherwise between Republican and Democratic candidates. And so this was an important vote. It was so important that Republicans tried to impeach her before she even heard a single case.
Yeah, that shit was wild.
because of her intent, her things she said where she was going to vote to overturn illegal maps that Republicans had drawn. So that didn't work. She did not recuse herself from the case, and she ended up providing the fourth vote in a ruling back in December that said that the current maps were unconstitutional because not all the districts were contiguous. Because that's how they did in Wisconsin, where they have this district is a little bit over here and a little bit all the way over here. It just happens to be here's your Democratic district right here. So basically, the court said, all right, you guys can either handle this yourself or we're going to handle it for you. Mm-hmm. So they said, hey, you legislators, governor, you submit the maps you think. And if you can agree to these maps, we'll approve them. And if not, then we'll fucking do it for you. And so Governor Evers submitted a map to the court. Democratic lawmakers submitted a map to the court. Republican lawmakers submitted a map to the court. And the court hired consultants to be like, hey, how fair are these? They immediately threw out the Republican maps because they're just come on. They're fucking come on, guys. What the fuck are you doing? And so because they were in such a fucking
zero, what kind of fucking thing is this?
Because they were in such a rock and a hard place, the Republicans were forced to cave and go with the maps that Governor Evers laid out, because they're just if we don't do this, it might be even worse. Like the maps that get brought up might be even worse. So this is the best that we can fucking hope for. The Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, who's a big piece of shit, said, quote, it pains me to say it, but Governor Evers gets a huge win today. Under the new maps, the legislature will be up for grabs. Here's even better quote. Here's even better quote.
Or matching how people vote. What a weird fucking way to say that.
Here's an even better vote from Senator Van Wangard, which is a fucking great name. Republicans were not stuck between a rock and a hard place. It was a matter of choosing to be stabbed, shot, poisoned, or led to the guillotine. We chose to be stabbed so we can live to fight another day.
That's pretty good.
So worth noting that this is just for the Wisconsin state legislature maps. This is not the federal maps for them. But I would imagine that those maps are probably not too far behind. Yeah. So look, Wisconsinites, you might actually have a representative legislature come this election. Who could have ever thought it was possible?
Yeah, look, this is why elections absolutely matter. You do not get anywhere by sitting on your laurels. You have to fight.
Yes.
And when you get an opening, you take it, right? Now, look, this is it. What will be interesting is the Republican response when they lose the legislature. And they're just how do we figure out a way? look, don't be surprised, right? We're all laughing now, but don't be surprised that if these guys lose the legislature, they're going to try to backdoor some shit before they get out there, try to pass something that hopefully, basically, like throws a wrench in the system. Like it's kind of like one of those things where when a Democrat gets elected to governor, they stripped all the power from the governor immediately before he gets in, and they're like, well, now the legislature has all those powers. And then a Republican becomes governor, like, hey, you can have all those powers back. Like, so I would not be surprised if they try to do some shit like that, some dirty shit like that, before they lose power. So just be prepared for some serious shenanigans to happen. Now, of course, this is the legislature, so whatever they pass, the new legislature just come in and be like, vote on that, get that shit the fuck out of here. But don't be surprised if they try to put something in the state constitution or something like that to try to hold on to power. Like they may lose it for a round, and then they try to like, okay, now the next time we get the back in and we get to make these changes and they're permanent or whatever. Don't fucking be surprised. So keep your eyes on Wisconsin.
I always go back to the quote from the guy who drew up the North Carolina federal districts to be a Republican gerrymander. And drew up in a 10-3 Republican gerrymander, despite the fact that North Carolina is basically like a 50-50 state.
Yeah.
And they asked him, why did you draw it up as the 10-3 Republican gerrymander? And he said, because I couldn't figure out how to make it 11-2.
I mean, he's not fucking lying to you.
Right.
He's like not lying to you, dude. He's telling you exactly the truth. I don't give a fuck. Like, we're allowed to get away with this. I'm going to get away with it, right? So, the best thing you can do is to play it as fair as possible when you have a chance to play it as fair as possible. All right, next up, I need to take a drink before this story. Look, I have not had a rant in a long time. I am well overdue. And we're right at the hour mark. Perfect. This is a perfect time to start this story. Actually, you know what? Let's do another story, and I'm going to wait to do the story from Alabama once we're clear of the hour mark. This story, presidential greatness or lack thereof. Donald Trump places last in new presidential greatness ranking. Abraham Lincoln topped the list of U.S. presidents, while Donald Trump ranked last, according to the results of the 2024 Presidential Greatness Project Expert Survey released this weekend. The purpose of the survey, which was previously conducted in 2015 and 2018, was to create a ranking of presidential greatness that covered all presidents from George Washington to Joe Biden. Respondents were asked to rate each U.S. president on a scale of 0 to 100 for their overall greatness, the 0 being failure, 50 being average, and 100 being great. The ratings were averaged for each president and ranked from highest to lowest. Doesn't say how many people participated in this.
No.
Unfortunately. So Lincoln placed first with 95.
Oh, sorry, 154 responses.
Okay, that's not a lot.
But they come from scholars who quote whose work engages presidential politics and who are members of the American Political Science Association. So people who generally know what they're talking about.
Okay, so this is not just general rubes.
Right.
These are actual people who know. Lincoln placed first at 95.03 average. Followed by the man, the myth, the legend, Franklin Delano Roosevelt at number 2, 90.83. By the way, that Japanese internment really fucked those numbers, man. Had you not done it, you'd probably be number 1. If you hadn't,
I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure ending slavery is gonna like cements you in the number 1 spot like forever.
In America, I feel like I'm surprised. I'm surprised he's not low. I'm surprised Lincoln's not low.
Among scholars who know what the fuck presidents are about. Come on, Jay. That's fair. You fucking ended slavery and you murdered the fucking traitors and then you died for it. You're number 1 forever.
Look, I got to tell you, if we left this survey up to the rabble, Lincoln coming in like middle of the pack. They're like, and it's slavery. Nah. But what about the South? So George Washington coming in at number 3. Teddy Roosevelt coming in at number 4. And Thomas Jefferson, number 5.
Thomas Jefferson, a little high for my liking. A little high.
Thomas Jefferson, way too high for a slave-owning pedophile who kept his own children as slaves. Like, way too high. And I know he had a couple of good ideas. I get it. But I'm going to go ahead and say he should be... I'm even going to allow you to be in the top 10 because you're a founding father, but you should be at the bottom of the barrel of the top 10, dude. Like, nah. You don't get to like have a slave wife and she was underage. Like, yeah, I'm not going to allow that. You should be at the bottom of the list, period, as far as I'm concerned. At the bottom of the ranking, this is where it gets good. James Buchanan at 44. Andrew Johnson, a.k.a. Old Hickory, at number 43.
That's Andrew Jackson, buddy. And Andrew Johnson was like, hey, that Civil War we just fought?
Oh, yeah,
let me just completely refuck everything.
I'm sorry, you're right. That's Andrew Jackson. I apologize. No, Jackson's probably high. They were like, that guy killed a lot of Native Americans for us.
He's probably middle. I think his star is fading among non.
It fucking
idiots.
should. It fucking should. I remember a buddy of mine that I used to work with. He was like, when he found out, like, he studied history in college, and he was like, Andrew Jackson is on the money? Are you out of your fucking minds? Why? Did anyone pay attention to actual history? Like, they did not. They did not. Jesus Christ. Franklin Pierce, my personal all-time least favorite president, coming in at number 42. William Henry Harrison, 41. William G. Harding at 40. And, of course, Trump getting the lowest ranking. So, yeah, that's pretty good. President Joe Biden, number 14.
Not bad, considering.
Not bad. By the way, not bad considering he's only had one term. Not even. Not even. Not bad. Look, you can say whatever you want about Joe Biden. He's one of the most successful presidents we've ever had. He's also, like, legislatively, he's also one of the most progressive presidents we've ever had. We've talked about this on the show before, and I made this comment online too. I was actually surprised how many people agreed with it. He's a 51% president. And what I mean by that is if you can get 51% of the general public to support something, he will generally, like to the left, he will generally slide to the left. Like people often go, look at 1985, how conservative Joe Biden was. The country was conservative.
Yeah, I was like, look who was president at the time, dipshit.
Right, like, hey, I can't believe that Joe Biden, helped write the crime bill. Like how conservative he was. How many black politicians supported the crime bill, dude? How many black people supported the crime bill? A lot. Like, I'm not saying it's
like
right.
everyone.
Right. I'm not saying it's right. I don't agree with it, but the country was more conservative.
That is insane that people don't like. I don't think people do understand how generally conservative the country was during the 80s and even the 90s. Like while Bill Clinton was president as well. Again, I if you don't understand this, I need you to go find the Electoral College map from the 1984 presidential election.
Right.
When Reagan was running for re-election against who's running against Walter Mondale.
Yeah.
And again, I need you to look at it, and I need you to see something that you will literally never see again for the rest of your fucking life. And that is Reagan literally winning every single state except for Mondale's home state, which I think was Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He ran the fucking table. Like, the country was, and by the way, that is in our lifetime. Maybe not your lifetime, but my lifetime.
No, I was alive for the 1984 election. I was not fucking cognizant of anything, but I was alive.
I'm here. Right. I was barely cognizant, right? I was 4. But, like, that wasn't 1884. It was 1984, right? Like, Dude, didn't the Nintendo come out the year after that?
Yes.
Dude, it wasn't that long ago. So in the lifespan of the Nintendo Entertainment System, right, the country has shifted from, hey, why doesn't everybody damn near vote for Ronald Reagan, one of the worst presidents in my opinion, and I'm sure he's high on this list, but he should fucking not be.
Again, I think
this is
that
a scholar, right?
Yeah,
right.
I think you overrate these books. So.
Right, that's right. These are the scholars, not general yahoos, right? But it went from, hey, this guy's amazing, to I think we're in the late stage capitalism, and I think everyone should probably be a socialist 2024 perspective, right? Like that's not that long. Like it's really not that long. It's 40 years. Like, so judging where Joe Biden was in 1984 is really dumb to talk about in 2024 as if those times are comparable. They're not comparable. Because, by the way, I know liberals now who voted for Ronald Reagan in the 80s. Because they were like, yeah, this guy seems like he's the fucking dude. Now they regret those votes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, you think Ronald Reagan won 49 out of 50 states by being a hyper crazy MAGA conservative? Was it considered MAGA conservatism then? No. Never forget that you can watch the primary debate between Reagan and Bush where they're arguing we need to let in more immigrants.
That's right. Who is more pro-immigration? No, I'm more pro-immigration. No, I'm more pro-immigration.
Yeah. Between George H.W. Bush and Ronald Reagan. So, like, the idea that the country has not slid considerably to the left is like, that's inarguable. By the way, the same people who make those poor arguments are like, look at 1985 or 1990 Joe Biden or whatever. Dude, you guys talk about shifting the Overton window all the time. It's shifting. It's literally shifting.
the Overton window done shifted.
Yeah.
Like you did it.
It's not even just the Overton window. Policies have actually legitimate, like we're not just talking about how we feel about things. Literal policies have shifted considerably to the left. They have. And Joe Biden is a 51% guy. Because it was a conversation online about, like, about drug policy, especially specifically about marijuana legalization. And somebody said, well, I find it hard to believe that he's going to do this, legalize marijuana. By the way, it's happening. Like, I don't know why people are just so adamant about, like, ignoring what's right in front of them. But they were like, I can't believe that he's going to do that because look how conservative he was. And he said he'd never do anything about this, a number of years ago. Yeah. Where was the country on weed legalization a number of years ago? Dude, it's like
do people just
now.
assume do people just assume that, like, a person gets to age 30 and that's just who they are for the rest of their fucking life? Especially in politics.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Because they're 30 and they think that their views will never change.
Okay.
They think their views will never change. Which, by the way, they will. You may become more conservative about certain things. You may become way more liberal about things. I'm way more liberal about certain things, and I'm probably a little bit more conservative about other things. Like, I don't believe, like, I think it's a young man's game or a young woman's game to say vote shaming doesn't work. Fuck off. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. You know why? Because when you don't do something and you fuck over everyone else, I think you should shame people for it. I do think you should. You think that you shouldn't shame people for it because in your time you want to stay in this position and you don't want to move. But what you realize is as you get older, holy shit, I might be affecting other people. And maybe I have to give up 2% of my rigid viewpoint to help 85% of people.
Yeah.
You learn that as you get older. When you're young, it's easy to be rigid. It's super easy.
If people need a reminder of this, all you need to remember is that the same generation that was like the radicals in the 60s and 70s are the most conservative pieces of shit now.
They went to Woodstock and then they're Sean Hannity now. How? Right?
Yeah.
Like, people do change. It doesn't mean that everybody is going to, like, Republicans will always say, well, you'll become conservative when you're older. No, that's plenty of old liberals. Like, get the fuck out of here. There's plenty of them, right? There's plenty. Like, go anywhere. Like, there are plenty of old liberals that are like, yeah, man, I was a hippie in the fucking 60s, and, like, I still, smoke weed. Look, you think Willie Nelson's a conservative? Like, no, not a conservative. Willie Nelson's 155 years old. He's just as liberal as he's ever been. Dolly Parton is not more conservative, right? Like, and those people live in an area and work in a genre of music that is very conservative, right? But they didn't change, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is going to become conservative as they get older, or you're going to become liberal. But people do change, and it's more so you become liberal and conservative about certain things more than just full on changing. But yeah, like you never know. Right? Like the boomers who went from like free love into like the most conservative people, they basically were like, hey man, I want to enjoy everything about life. And then they got to enjoy a lot of shit and then they just closed the door. Like,
yeah.
They're
like, oh, should I have money now? I have money now. I got to keep that shit right here. Right. You can't have any of it.
Right. And they did become more conservative. But I would argue those mindsets of the people who were like that and became like they are now were already conservative. They didn't really give a fuck about other people. They just wanted what they wanted. It just so happened to run in line with liberal shit in the 60s. Right?
Yeah.
Like, never forget. Like, yeah, people talk about the 60s and shit like that. Yo, there were plenty of people in the 60s and 70s who were extremely conservative. Like, look at the civil rights movement. That's about as liberal as you got then. The country was not fucking there. We pushed for it to get there, but it wasn't there. But people change over time. They do.
That was quite a tangent from the story of Donald Trump, worst president of all time.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, top 30 presidents of all time.
Suck it. No, but it is interesting to know that they're ranking him at 14th. That's pretty good. Look, and I'm telling you, man, if and I don't even think it's an if, when he legalizes marijuana, that will go down as one of the biggest fucking deals for a generation. It will. And people are like, well, why does he do it now? Because Americans have the memory of a goldfish. Absolutely not. I would drop that shit the day before you went to the ballot box if I could. Like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, right before the early voting envelopes go out. Hey, by the way, weed's legal.
Like, here's a joint while you're standing in line.
That's right. It comes with your ballot when it gets mailed to your house.
Yeah, with just a little sticker that said, I did that, with the little Joe Biden, right? You got it. Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.